We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He is in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I am on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you are peeling from sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kinda make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I Googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date even matched the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one tech say, "Yup, it's human, alright." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where is the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing. All three of us were silent as we drove past the blank "Welcome to" sign and into the town with no name. The people all watched us with the same slack expression, their heads tilted at identical angles, as if listening to a single far-off sound. For a moment, I heard it too. For a moment, the people in the car seemed like strangers, and I couldn't remember who we were or where we were going. But then we passed the last house, and it came back. We were all old friends, all traveling together, all safe, all four of us. He awoke to the huge, insect-like creatures looming over his bed and screamed his lungs out. They hastily left the room, and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreat to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly. This happened every day for weeks. At first, he was worried they were fattening him up. But after an especially greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot steamy baths for him, and even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was very bizarre. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but disposed of the remains as best as he could. He knew they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave his room. He lied down, confused but trusting, as they ushered him back into bed. Whatever their motives, they were not going to hurt him. Hours later, a burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young inside of him. I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Dad, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Dad, there's somebody on my bed." The pain ended quickly. I rose and tried to find my body. It was probably lying mangled underneath the metallic wreck. Dying in a road accident is definitely the worst way to go. "So, had a nice life?" asked a voice behind me. I turned around to find a woman smiling. Since she could see me, I was pretty sure she was a soul like me. She giggled. "You're taking it pretty well. I'm Cindy, by the way." I spoke evenly. "So what happens now? Heaven? Hell?" She laughed louder. Before I could say something, I heard a commotion from far off. Cindy shouted, "Come on!" and she ran. She turned and yelled, "Have you been good?" "Excuse me?" "Have you done any good while you lived?" Totally confused, I spluttered, I donated blood once." As we reached the source of noise, I was dumbstruck to find hundreds of people ripping each other apart in front of a hospital. I shouted, "What the hell is happening here?" Cindy replied, "Someone is giving birth here. These souls are fighting to get inside the newborn shell." "But the baby?" "Listen to me. There is no baby until a soul penetrates it. If no soul makes it inside, the shell is pronounced dead by doctors." She continued, "Your fighting strength depends on your karma. So the soul of a rapist or a pedophile or something similar stands no chance. They will never get a shell and will painfully wither away. Children are the most dangerous, pure souls. Stay away from them during fights." "But what about heaven and hell?" "This is hell. And more importantly, the life you left behind, that is heaven."